Hey everybody, so I wanted to talk about retro gaming formats. So all of us that are watching this video or talking about retro gaming for the most part enjoy the format that's pre-2000 or early 2000s. And typically it goes from Atari up until the latter date. So one of the things that I've kind of noticed, and Rockin Kat Reviews made this really a talking point when we were chatting over Instagram, the retro gaming community is a bit interesting in that it seems to be more collectors up until when you get to more 3D consoles like N64 and on. There's quite a bit of gameplays when it comes to retro gaming, but just looking at Instagram, when you search retro gaming, most of the images that you get back are hardware. So this one is clearly quite a bit of Pokemon. This is the retro gaming zone. And Sega Mega Drive comes back with some images, classic box art, customized consoles. That's actually something that's kind of big. And then you have just hardware in general. So this one is, what is that? Beer and Sega Genesis. Can't go wrong with that. This is cool. So you've got an image of a hardware chip and then an old television. So a lot of hardware fans are on here. And if you go to Reddit and look at the classic Atari forums, all they care about is hardware, and typically that's because even though it's a robust system, the original Atari, it is subject to failure because it's been like 40 years. So what are people talking about? They're talking about fixing old consoles and maintaining that original hardware. So that's just something that came up when Rockin Kat and I were talking, because we like to play games and showcase gameplays, and so my channel is more the gameplays and the art, and then doing spoof videos and memes of classic games. And honestly, most of my audience is between 25 to 50 years old, because it's people that are old enough to remember that kind of stuff. And quite honestly, a lot of the games that I look at, many people haven't seen before. So here you go. So you have quite a bit of an audience that likes to play on older hardware, and they actually don't like to play on flat screen. So one of the issues that I have when I play is if you don't have an HD conversion for your hardware, it's not going to show up very well, and it's going to be very convoluted. So that's kind of why people prefer to play in the original format of the console and the way it was meant to be played. But as you go down, oh, this is a cool image. So yeah, class. You gotta wonder how weird it would actually be with Mario running through those levels. But anyway, so this is just another example of hardware, and it's a Super Nintendo Club. So now the modern vintage gamer going to YouTube, I wish I had this many subs. He's been around for a while, so he's a little bit of an older guy. It goes into hardware and the schematics behind how consoles work, and also he does product reviews. So I don't really see him do gameplays. He does more of the physical, you can touch material, and he's good at it. He's kind of like an electrical engineer is kind of my impression, just walking through products, and he does it in a very professional way. So it's a pretty cool channel, so go ahead and check that out. And then, you've got stuff like Spawn Wave, where he kind of goes through it. I don't want to say nerd, but he's very specific with what he releases, and he's very organized, and he's kind of like a scientist when he goes through his reviews and whatnot. And he's a family man too, so he's got, this is a hobby, which probably makes some good money for him. But then again, it's very hardware focused, and he's going into what I was talking about earlier. This is really what you're kind of seeing with the retro game community. And then, going back to some of our original groups that we like to watch, Pat Contry and Ian doing their podcast, where you can see that they're collectors as well. But originally Pat started with game reviews, and then he, because of probably the editing time and just his interest in him getting into online sales of NES carts, he just doesn't really do that anymore. He focuses on reviews of different game releases, products, and obviously collects. So, but that's just something I wanted to talk about. I think that the retro community is here to stay, but is it going to shrink, especially post-pandemic? with more and more people kind of forgetting what these retro games are and aging out. So especially, if you have an original Atari fan who's in their late 40s, as they get older, are they going to continue playing Atari? Are they going to move on to something else, especially, if they have got family concerns? It just kind of begs the question, because not many kids these days are walking in and playing old Atari games. So that kind of goes into Mike Matai too. So he likes to play Atari and really, really old games. So he's one of those people kind of keeping that alive on Twitch. But anyway, just food for thought. What would you like to see the community as? And what is your niche in the retro community? So mine obviously is gameplays and trying different games and foreign games, American games, and basically anything is fair game. I don't have a problem using emulators because, frankly, I do have a ton of retro stuff that I've collected over the years, but it's just easier to use the emulator sometimes. So often I'll play an emulator even if I have a game sitting over on my shelf there. So, but anyway, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Let me know your thoughts. It's kind of an interesting subject. And anyway, take care.